in the Cayman Islands.
Sports Extra. From 7 to 8 p.m., highlights of local sports around the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra.
It's amazing to see the improvement of the team.
Sports Extra, keeping you informed.
All right. Good evening and welcome to Radio Cayman's Sports Extra. I'm your host, Dionne Anglin. Tonight on Sports Extra, we will be joined by a former national coach and technical director of Cayman Athletic Sports Club, Coach Gilly Seymour. Coach, good evening to you.
Good evening.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm good.
Always good to have you in the studio.
Yeah, I am good when I'm next to you.
Yeah, good. That's fine. That's fine by me. So it's my job to make sure that, all is well and that you're comfortable where you are. So yes. I'm happy to hear that. All right. So with CIFA's annual general meeting just around the corner, it's about 2 months away, we'll be diving into key topics shaping local football. So Coach Gilly will share his perspective on the structure of football clubs and their constitutions, the role and relevance of CIFA's memorandum and articles of association, and his views on the executive and standing committees that influence the game from the top down, right? Anything else? Yeah, we got it? All right. So it's a timely conversation about governance, grassroots developments, and the future of Cayman football. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The Buzz is powered by the team that keeps you moving on the road or in the water. Automotive Art. Whether it's your car, boat, or wave runner, they've got the expert touch. With Yamaha certified staff and a passion for performance. From oil changes, brakes, and alignments to batteries, tires, and servicing. Automotive Art has got the parts and the people to back them up. Your car, our passion. That's Automotive Art. Proud sponsor of The Buzz every Tuesday and Thursday morning, 7:30 to 9:30, right here on Radio Cayman 89.9 FM.
Join us on July 10th at 5:30 p.m. for the BRAC launch of the Seamen's Registry at the Veterans and Seamen's Association Hall as Celebrate Cayman invites seamen and their families to honor the vital contributions of our seafaring community to the Cayman Islands. Experience historical displays, hear inspiring speakers, and explore interactive exhibits. Plus, be among the first to visit the new Seafarers Registry website. Mark your calendars for July 10th. Exhibitions and activities will continue through July 12th. Let's come together to celebrate our maritime heritage.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million.
Welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. If you're just tuning in, we have Coach Gilly Seymour. I know he's no stranger to the mouths and the minds of the people of the Cayman Islands when it comes to football, as he was a former a national coach for the Cayman Islands, the men's national team, and he's currently the technical director for Cayman Athletic Sports Club here in the Cayman Islands. And that was so long ago, Coach. Okay, and player as well. Yes, you're definitely right. So, who else to tell us all about the game and to chat with us about, the upcoming elections and the ins and outs of football here in the Cayman Islands? Yeah, I like that. So we're going to start with let's see, football club structure and their constitutions, club level perspective. Yeah. Do you have anything you'd like to add first before I grill you with questions? Because
about the club structures, like I said, one of the few clubs on the island is really structured. I would say pretty good. You know, And those clubs that is pretty good in structure, they has good financial backings. Some of the other clubs that are not structured that well is struggling.
Yes.
Even struggling to feel a full team, because we have been seeing games forfeiting.
Yes, there were several forfeits this year.
Short of players and stuff like that. You know, I mean, not having sufficient players to play a match and all that sort of stuff. My club had to forfeit a game, but that was due to injuries. We got a lot of players that was injured, so we only had like 8 players that could play, and it didn't make no sense. If we had played 8 players against a team that is making 7 substitutes, we could have ended up with more injuries.
Right.
And then we had the men's vice president cup final coming up, so we had to make that sacrifice. But if you look at the clubs that is structured pretty good, like the Academy Football Club, the 345, the Sunset Football Club, and even Scholars, because Scholars is one of the better structured clubs. You can see, and they're winning. They've been winning over the years. Besides for this year, they kind of like dropped down a little bit, but that is where we are not too strong, because you got the club licensing that is being offered by CIFA and CONCACAF, and majority of our clubs will struggle to get that club license to be able to host a large event or host a big club like maybe Miami. What's really name? What's the team name? Miami Football Club.
Miami. Well,
so if we had to host Miami,
they couldn't.
Which club here, is structured that probably that could host a game of that magnitude? So that's where some of the clubs are not structured strong enough to even get that club licensing.
Well, speaking of structure, from your experience as a coach, how does your club structure support player development and day-to-day operations?
Yeah. Well, you see, over the years, athletics was focusing also on the youth development, because at one stage we had like a youth team. When I was in the sports department working, we had a youth team in every competition. On the 13 and 15, we were doing well, but we were getting support from the government.
Okay.
When that changed, that support started to pull back, we lost that structure, because one, sponsors didn't come on board. To a lot of the people who was involved with the club at that time, when their kids were involved, had other things on their agenda, and then you find out personnel. So we start to struggle.
Yeah, and then when their children are not involved anymore, they tend to drift away.
Yeah, most people tend to drift away, and even like if you check these clubs like Academy, for example, they are still pretty strong, because the parents' kids are still involved, so a lot of the parents are still involved in it. Another thing is that a lot of the clubs players don't take an interest in the running of the club.
Right.
That's one big problem we have here. They don't even want to come to meetings.
The players,
and they are the members.
How do we change that? How do we get the players more involved with the clubs?
It goes back to education. Yeah. A lot of clubs have not been educating their players about the proper way of running the club.
Right.
And that's what the big problem is. It's nothing to do with the executive committee of CIFA. We tend to blame the executive, but the executive is not all to blame. I mean, they might make little mistakes like everybody else, but majority of the fault is the clubs and how they structure. Do they have the annual general meetings? Do they have a proper constitution? Like my little club athletics, we have a little constitution, and bylaws that we abide by, which can always be amended. Bylaws should always be able to amend. We do that in our country. We just did that with this new government, and that's what I see happening in the club structure, is that when you talk to most of the players, they don't have a clue about how the club runs. They were just interested in coming to the game. Or when are we playing? Whether we win, we lose. We lose, we argue with each other. We win, we celebrate.
Yeah, true. And you find that not just with football.
No,
with many clubs in different sports.
Yeah.
And they just form their little clubs, preferably to elect a new government when that time comes, and when they come, they vanish into thin air.
Yeah. So a lot of the clubs, executives, they have meetings and make decisions for the members without the members being present. So just like how the Cayman Islands Football Association has to form a quorum at the Congress, the clubs them should be having their meetings in forming a quorum also. And then the minutes from their meetings and stuff like that should also be sent to the General Secretary of the Football Association. And who the elected members are, you know. And I also, like I said, before we go, I want to touch on how was the Constitution regulated by Jeff Webb.
Right. Go ahead. Sure.
A lot of people don't know.
You want to tell us?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Years ago, when an election was taking place, players used to vote.
Right.
Players, coaches, everybody. And that we had those meetings up at the middle school, at the canteen, the middle school canteen. Anybody who know about the old middle school, George Hicks, it was a big canteen area.
Yes.
And the last meeting that was held there where all the players came and cast their vote, congregate, it was chaos that night. I was trying to get Mr. Claude Bailey to find the tape where he had videoed it. I had it on the old VHS, but you know the old VHS after a while they disappear. Yeah. Even the CDs disappearing now. So it was chaos. And then Jeff, at the time, I think it was one night when he got voted in as the CIFA president. Because Mr. Tony Scott, I think before, was the president before, and Jeff was the general secretary or something like that. And then after Tony was, give up his thing, he was, had enough or whatever happened, and Jeff became the president. And when Jeff did that, Jeff decided to regulate the Congress.
Okay.
Instead of having all of the players and the coaches and everybody show up and having one big chaos, he said each club will be represented by 2 members at the Congress with one vote on behalf of your members.
Okay. Nice.
This is what the clubs in Cayman don't understand.
Right. So one vote on behalf of the entire...
Yeah, so like, for example, when me and my son go into the Congress to represent Cayman Athletic, we have to send in the 2 names of the two representatives that is at the Congress and which one will be voting.
Right.
So when we go to vote, we are voting on behalf of our members. So who are the members of the clubs?
Right.
The majority of the members are the playing members.
Right.
True. I mean, you have some non-playing members, but if you check it out, well, I'm saying clubs, but some of these teams that's supposed to be clubs are actually just a team because they're not really operating with a proper club structure.
Right.
Like I say, a couple of them, like maybe the Academy, the 345, and Sunset, maybe a few of them, yeah. But some of them, they don't even have meetings.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, that's how it was regulated, and this is this is something that needs to be addressed. The clubs them need to organize themselves and stop blaming the CIFA executive for everything that's wrong.
Everything that's wrong.
You know what the clubs them do here? They call the executive of CIFA. It's not the executive. This is not CIFA. Mm-hmm. The executive is the executive.
Right.
Right? CIFA is everybody, all the clubs. All the executive members, the referees.
The coaches, the players.
Yeah, everybody makes up CIFA.
Right.
So when you say, when I hear some of the members from some of the clubs saying, CIFA not doing this and CIFA not doing that, you're actually talking about yourself.
Yeah, definitely. Do you feel club constitutions are evolving to meet the modern needs of football in Cayman?
No, some of them don't even. I don't know if somebody even have a constitution. I'm not sure. Maybe they do. I'm not sure because I even would talk to my son the other day and I told him that we have to also amend ours, to upgrade certain things. Like for example, our membership fee used to be $100 per season.
Right.
And we used to do it per $100 per family. Because we were doing it to help our family, because most of the people in our club was from the poorer sector people, so they couldn't really afford much. They had to make ends meet,
Right.
And so we have now raised our membership fee to $150, which our membership fee of $150, this is what it entails.
Right.
It gives the players now 2 sets of uniform, home and away,
right.
2 sets of training kit,
okay,
and now they have their own uniform. They have to put it in a bag anymore, and everybody's uniform getting washed together. You take your own home. If you don't come to the game with it, then you don't play. So it's a responsibility, and also to make you feel a part of it. I think all the clubs should have a membership fee.
Definitely think so. I have a question. Another question. When you guys travel as a club, do you have to contact CIFA that you're leaving? Are you representing CIFA or you're representing the club?
Well, it depends on. when they say traveling now, what do you mean?
Internationally to compete.
Like if you're going off to compete, you actually still
representing
represent
CIFA.
But not just CIFA, but you also represent the Cayman Islands because, like for example, Scholars is going out to play in the club championship in Trinidad.
Okay,
they're going as Scholars International from the Cayman Islands.
Right, exactly.
You know,
so they're still under that CIFA brand.
Yeah, so you're representing the Cayman Islands Football Association and the country.
Yes, definitely.
So.
How do your clubs, or how do clubs ensure that its constitution, however, aligns with CIFA's requirements?
Well, the thing is, they should be having annual general meetings.
Okay.
The Constitution asks for annual general meetings,
right?
And you should have your minutes, just like how the football association have the annual general meeting. The minutes are recorded,
right?
So the clubs them should be doing the same thing. The Constitution calls for it.
Yeah,
you know, it's the Constitution is pretty old. It can be amended. It should be amended. But like I said, a lot of the clubs them don't even know that we have one.
Well, true. That's something.
And not just the clubs, but the members in the clubs
don't know that they have.
Yeah, no.
What are some of the challenges you think clubs face when trying to implement or revise their constitutions? What are some of the challenges you guys face?
Well, I think what happened is that, for us, what we try to do with our little club is we try to do what's right. So, for example, our annual general meeting is on the 19th.
Okay.
It's coming up here on the 19th of July. And it's going to be at the Trombone VIP Lounge. So we try to do what the Constitution say.
Okay.
Even though it's small, our membership is small. Now we don't have like 4 and 5 and 6 teams that we had before, but we still have a first division team. So we have 32 players registered on our roster, and then we have a couple administrative staff, which we still short in that area because we even reaching out now to the playing members to invite your girlfriend, to invite your family, somebody that can play other roles, because there's a lot of other roles that can help a club, structure properly. As a technical director, it's hard for me to be a technical director in a club like Cayman Athletic.
Why is that?
Because if you need personnel, you need other people.
Of course.
Because if I'm the technical director, I should be coaching the team.
No, I agree. A technical director, they have all the technical things that needs to be done within the association. That's what you should be assigned to.
Yeah.
And adding coaching on top of that.
And I mean, part of my job as a technical director is to develop the coaching staff.
But you find that a lot here in most of the associations, whether it's football, cricket, basketball, rugby, the technical directors are most likely the national coaches or the coaches.
Yeah. And if you check out the requirements of a technical director, it should be to develop coaches, get coaches for each of the teams, and discuss with the coaches what kind of system we're going to use.
Yes.
But for example, Coach Gilly, I was doing everything: technical director, and head coach, administrator. But one time I had to take up the position as the president of the club because no one has wanted to be the president.
Yeah.
Until Chico, decided to come in and help.
Yeah.
My daughter was the general secretary. Cherie was the general secretary for many years, but she said she couldn't do it anymore because her work as a lawyer at Maples took up a lot of her time, and she gave a lot of time, but
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And you have to find the person, or sometimes a parent that's dedicated.
Yeah.
And you find that when you have parents who have children that are in your clubs, those are the ones that you need to grab at that moment.
Yeah. And so, like I said, that's why, some of these clubs, like I say, like the couples that I call their names, they're doing pretty good in terms of the structure because they have personnel helping,
Yeah, most definitely. All right, we just touched on football clubs and structure. Let's touch a little bit on the memorandum and articles of the Cayman Islands Football Association, the external perspective of things. As someone working within the CIFA framework, how do the association's rules and the articles impact your work at the club level?
Okay. Well, one of the things is that in the memorandum, everybody has a role. The president has a role, the vice presidents, first and second vice president has a role, general secretary, everybody has a role. And the Constitution clearly outlines what each one of those roles are. They also have what we call standing committees.
Okay.
And the standing committees covers different areas like sports medicine, technical committees, referee committee. You got different standing committees in the memorandum. that can help football and help the clubs. For example, I like to talk about the sports medicine committee because we have so much injuries. I mean, look
Well,
at the
like you
other
said,
day.
this season for your team, yeah.
Yeah, and right now the sports medicine committee should be made up of doctors, physiotherapists, physios that come along and work with the clubs and give advice on proper nutrition, proper ways to prevent injuries and all that. That is not happening. And that's one area very crucial to the development of the player.
Yeah, very true.
Because when you start losing players with injuries, they get discouraged too.
Yeah, but a lot of our players are not in the gym either. They're not getting that their body's not getting.
That's what I'm telling you
they're
now.
not
The
strengthening.
sports medicine committee should be working along with the clubs and the technical directors and the coaches.
Yeah.
They're supposed to be visiting each club. You can't go every day to each club, but you can say, okay, this week I'm going to go to Scholars, this week I'm going to go to Academy,
And people fail to realize how important that is, strengthening the body. And you come to practice every single day for 2.5 to 3 hours. You work your body excessively, and then you're not strengthening. You're not in the gym strengthening.
Right.
What do you think is going to happen?
Suspected injuries.
Injuries.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
And one thing that is causing a lot of injuries here on the island, and the government it needs to address it, that old carpet that is on Onyx Field and 8 Bush and Kevin Brack, it's been there a long time. And you know how carpet is. After a while, it's just dead.
Yeah.
And a lot of players are getting a lot of injuries from that carpet.
Yeah.
If they fall on it, you got to see when the guys, we call this thing cherries. You got to see the cherries that the guys get when they drop. Because they put that recycled car tire,
right.
that black stuff,
Yes.
that's what's in it. And when
I fell on that on before at Annex.
Yeah,
Annex, the one in West Bay, Ed Bush. Yeah.
That cuts you up. Mm-hmm. And also, again, it was a research that went on that some of that can be even toxic.
Right.
I remember being at Georgetown Primary School with Miss Marie Martin, there coaching, right?
Yes.
And me and her sitting on at midday watching the kids running around on the field. This is when this carpet was put down. And I looked out, Dionne, and I saw water boiling. How could we do that to our children? The kids playing PE and lunchtime, 1 o'clock in a hot sun with that talk. I mean, when I looked up, I literally saw the vapor coming up. Yes.
And you see it a lot in Ed Bush around the time that flag football plays.
Yeah.
That's hot sun, like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock.
Europe, they didn't have a problem with that because the weather's cool. Always cool.
Right.
But here in the tropics,
it's hot.
So they need to really seriously look at that. I mean, in America, people be suing people. I'm telling you.
All right, don't give them no ideas.
I'm giving ideas because it needs to come up.
It definitely does need to change.
And then it has to be swept on a regular basis. Like combing the hair. If you don't comb your hair, it gets stiff in the truth.
Right.
You keep combing it softens.
Right.
Well, just like your carpet, if you don't brush your carpet and things like that. Right?
So there's a particular machinery that's used to sweep it.
And the original machine that came with the Annex, which was the first artificial turf put down,
right.
I don't believe it was ever used in the Annex. Most of the time that the football association got it swept was the guys from Cayman Bay brought their machine up and swept it like when we had a final or something.
Or international match, yeah.
But you don't pay international World Cup qualifying games on it because they have to play on grass,
right?
But still.
So that'll be at Truman.
Truman, yeah.
Okay.
But still, a lot of games are played at the Annex and at 8 Bush in Cameron too.
Is Truman Button? That's the only field that has just pure grass.
No, East End field, East End, Button Town. And then, the north side field, they used to play football there, but they went and put a track around it. And they
make this field
so what they do was that's most of primary school football plays there.
Okay.
But they were thinking about opening it back up. I don't know when, but they were thinking about it.
Okay.
And then they have a practice field by 8 Bush too, which is made up of grass. But the CIFA field.
And it's the other side that no one really plays on.
Yeah, people only use it for practice.
Yes.
Yeah. But the CIFA field is artificial turf. They in the field at Cayman Bay, but it's different texture too.
Right.
The one at CIFA is a little softer.
The one at Ed Bush is not soft.
Like I said, 8 Bush, Annex, Timothy Field, whatever you want to call it now, and Cayman Back, those 3 stuffs need to come up.
Yeah.
They need to be replaced.
And that's worthy of note. I hope they're
then
listening.
they just put on a new turf like that over here at John Gray you know they put they put in a new artificial turf
Turf
field
in.
at John Way. So I don't know if they put the car tires in it or they put in sand. I don't know what they did.
Okay.
You know.
They're putting one down at First Baptist as well. So I'm not sure what the turf is. I'm not sure. But back to memorandums. Are there any parts of the memorandum or articles that you think clubs or coaches often struggle to interpret or to imply?
Well, the coaches really shouldn't much to do with the memorandum. It's the administrators.
That's more the administrators.
The administrators
Right.
of the club should deal with the memorandum and know the memorandum
Right.
and know what's in it. Because it's like if you're in a country you don't know your constitution.
Yeah.
You know you got to know your rights. You know.
Yes.
So a lot of times, like I say, a lot of the clubs and people in the clubs are blaming the executive for things that is them themselves to blame for.
Yeah.
You see?
Definitely.
And that's because they don't know the memorandum.
Do you feel there's enough communication from CIFA about changes?
Well, it's going to be, it has been spoken about a couple of times. For example, when you have a congress, you're given a certain amount of time, each club, if they want to put something on the agenda, you have a certain amount of days to put it in, send it to the general secretary to put it on table. Hardly any clubs ever puts anything on the agenda. Hardly. Few times athletics did. One time scholars did when they were trying to get the girls to play. And that was for their benefit.
Right.
You know, for the overall benefit. Most clubs don't even know that they can even put something on the agenda.
Wow.
And the thing is, what's sad about it, Dionne, is that the general secretary honestly sends out the information to every club.
You're not the only sport that has that issue.
But yet the same clubs
they're the ones that complaining.
is the ones out there complaining that and saying that the CIFA is not this, and they actually calling the executive the CIFA is not, but the CIFA the executive most of the time is doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
It's just the clubs not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, yeah. It's you're not the only sport. Basketball goes through the same thing. The executive committee will send out all the information that they need to. They'll invite you to certain things. They don't show up. They don't read the stuff. But when game time comes and things change and you don't know, they're going to complain.
Like I said, Dionne, the general secretary had to threaten clubs to send your representative to the Congress.
Yeah. And that's not good that they had to do.
Yeah, so that show you that a lot of them is not interested in the business running of the club. You got for our football to improve at all levels, the club structure overall in the clubs that compete in. Because, for example, again, like I say, I'm a technical director.
Yes.
But what am I developing? When it's not enough structure, like it's not enough help, like enough personnel coming on board, sponsorship. You know, it's not there to, like, for example, 34-5, they can bring in some coaches from Europe. Academy, they bring in some coaches from Europe. That attracts. Now you got a new club coming called Cayman Football Club with some foreign-based coaches, and they got, I don't know who's backing them with funding. They got money,
right?
And they're attracting now a lot of kids that is with clubs already is going to sign up with them.
Yeah.
So how is athletics going to attract? How are we going to hire? Wait, am I going to pay them out of my pocket? I've been spending out of my pocket all my life taking care of football. Yeah. You know, for me to turn around now, they got to pay a coach to help. Nobody wants to do anything. Everybody has to get a stipend.
Yeah.
FIFA says everybody should get a stipend. CONCACAF say everybody that involved should get a stipend. So where are the stipends going to come from to get the personnel?
Yeah.
So if that don't happen, the clubs are going to struggle, and they are struggling.
What about mentoring the young kids that are interested in what's going on at the executive level?
Yeah, but that's what we got to start doing. We got to start, like I said, that's what we've been doing with our club. We've been taking the young people in our club and educating them about the memorandum, about having an AGM. What is this to be a member of the club? You know, playing member, non-playing member. Look at Barcelona. Barcelona have thousands and thousands as non-playing members.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thousands all over the world. Clubs are huge. You know, and this is something we need to educate everybody about. The importance of having, not just coming to shops. I cheer for that team.
Why aren't you a part of the executive? You should be with your knowledge, your wisdom, the information that you think that you know these clubs need to get with?
Yeah. To be honest, I don't really like the administrative work myself, right? But you know what? I was talking to Fero, and I was telling him, I said, Fero, one of the things, if you ever get me back involved with the football, I want to be back involved with the grassroots
children,
because I don't want to be involved with the coaching. The coaching is competitive. It's to win the game, and you know, and you know, when I compete, you know me, when I compete.
Yes,
you know, and I want to get involved in the development, the fundamentals, how to hit the ball, how to control the ball, how to pass the ball. If the kid can't do that when he reaches 16, 17, then he's not going to be good.
I agree.
So I would like to get involved in working with young coaches, because I see a lot of young coaches working at the camps, and they're just there to mind the children, but they can't teach the fundamentals. Some of them don't even know the fundamentals themselves. So that is an area that I would like to get serious.
And then when you have a coach like yourself who knows the fundamentals, you're supposed to get him on board to teach that. And I get what you're saying, because there are a lot of coaches out there who are just there teaching, but they really don't know the fundamentals themselves. So how are they going to impart that knowledge to the younger athlete, and they don't know it themselves? And not every coach as well can teach children. It's very different. Teaching children, teaching men, teaching women, adults.
And every age group is different.
Every single age group is different.
And we got manuals, like I did the FIFA World Youth Academy, Coca-Cola World Youth Academy in Trinidad. I was the first coach taken away to a course, and that's what I went to. And it tells you how to coach under 6, under 8, under 10, under 12. It's a 2-year different. And who's the most important person, what size ball you use, what size field. All that is there, and I have all of that information at my house. Why you got it there and not making me utilize it? Come on, that's
Agreed.
what. You know?
We're gonna touch on that and a whole lot more. CIFA Executive Committee, a coach's perspective, and standing committees, of course, a coach's experience. We're gonna get into all that when we come back from this break. Stay tuned.
Whether your group works in an office, a hotel, a hospital, or even on the beach, no matter where your group works or what it does, BAF has a health insurance plan for you. You can always count on BAF for affordable, flexible group and individual health insurance plans with professional, friendly customer service. Call them at 949-5089. BAF, your health is their priority.
Join us on July 10th at 5:30 p.m. for the BRAC launch of the Seamen's Registry at the Veterans and Seamen's Association Hall, as Celebrate Cayman invites seamen and their families to honor the vital contributions of our seafaring community to the Cayman Islands. Experience historical displays, hear inspiring speakers, and explore interactive exhibits. Plus, be among the first to visit the new Seafarers Registry website. Mark your calendars for July 10th. Exhibitions and activities will continue through July 12th. Let's come together to celebrate our maritime heritage.
Sports. Stay up to date on your sports news with Radio Cayman Monday through Friday at 7 a.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. It's all about sports.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Shaken yet standing firm.
I was not built to break.
This is Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
All right, welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra, and we're sitting here with Coach Gilly Seymour, Ernie Gilly Seymour. All right, so where did...
GMM.
Where did you get Gilly from? The name Gilly. Where did that come from?
The name Gilly comes from a family name.
Okay.
Because my dad came from Belize.
Okay.
And our family
I never knew that.
Our family name in Belize is Gill. So my father's name is Ernie Gill.
Oh. So you became Gilly.
Hold on now. My grandmother knew my father very good. So when she called me, she didn't say Ernie Seymour. She said, Ernie Gill, come here.
Okay.
And she reminded me that I was just like my dad.
So your middle name is Gill? No.
Okay. So anyhow, Gilly. Yeah. So by her calling me Ernie Gill, the only Gills that in my days, my family members, my friends knew was the fish gills, because we used to fish on the bay a lot, out the Hogside Bay. That was a fishing ground. We could go there with our soldier crabs and things and catch a fish and come home and have a snack.
Right.
Now you go there, you can't catch prop out there. So when we go fishing on the bay, my friends used to call me fish gill, because when they hear my grandmother calling me gill, they call me fish gill. And I would clean out the fish. When I pull out the gills, I would look at them and say, do I look like this? And you know what was happening after that? That gill was coming across their head. So they got so much fish gills throw at them, they dropped the fish and called me Gill.
Right.
And now how the name, and then most everybody would call me Gilly, which is Gilly. But then I started working with Miss Alice Anderson at her gas station there, where Anderson Square is. It was a gas station there called Alice's Texaco Station. So I used to work part-time when I go to school, come from school on the weekends and stuff. And my friends would come and look for me, and they would say, Miss Alice, where Gilly? She'd say, you all come in here about Gilly? His name is not Gilly, his name is Gilly.
Okay, because I was about to ask, am I pronouncing it wrong? Because I'm saying Gilly.
She say it's no Gilly, it's not G-I-L, it's G-I-L-L-I-E. And you all get it right. Don't come back calling him no Gilly, because his name not Gilly, his name is Gilly. Miss Alice Anderson give me that. So when I was given the award, the JMM Gold Medal Merit Award at Heroes Day.
Yes, I remember that.
My name has to be written now, Ernie Gilly in brackets, Edison Seymour, GMM.
Ernie Gilly.
Ernie Gilly.
I'm kidding. All right. Is it something you wanted me to read from this, or this is just for off air? I can read this.
Yeah, I just, you can keep up off air just to show you.
Okay, good. Yeah. This is good stuff for.
Yeah, just to show you that what it is to be a full member.
Okay, awesome. So I know we were on now CIFA Executive Committee. So if you could share with us, how would you describe the relationship between the Executive Committee and club coaches like yourself?
Well, it's a pretty good relationship with most of the people on the executive.
Yeah.
Like I don't be in their meetings and things to discuss the some of the things that they discuss about and stuff like that, right? But I think that it could be a relationship that could develop better, where the executive have a better relationship with the clubs and their members. I would say that I think that the presidents of each club should be more involved in the administrative part of things, because a lot of times when they go to the Congress, you don't see the presidents.
Okay.
It's mostly like just somebody come to represent the club. Very, very rare you see some of the presidents show up at the Congress, and that's something I would like to see more. To as a leader of the club, to know more about what's going on. From the administrative perspective.
Got you. Do you feel the committee is responsive to the needs of grassroots football and youth development? You spoke a lot about that earlier.
Well, some grassroots football is going on. Grassroots football goes on all the time. It's in the primary school with the CUC primary school football. Mm-hmm. It's in the clubs and stuff. But like I say, what I would like to see more is more teachers of the game at the grassroots, not coaches.
Right.
Because when I did the Caribbean Educational Council course in theoretical knowledge of coaching and teaching, with Mr. Harcourt recently. I don't know if you remember him.
I know Mr. Harcourt.
And Mr. Skinner from Barbados.
Yes.
When we did, they say, what's the difference between coaching and teaching?
Yeah.
You see, and that's what this is where a lot of the coaches here gets messed, because for example, at the youth level, you tell the player, pass the ball, but did you teach him how
to pass the ball? Yeah.
Shoot.
Coaches,
did you teach him how to shoot?
Coaches are more interested in the X and O's, whereas a teacher is going to develop you on how to do those particular things.
In Brazil, the coaches at the grassroots level is called formation coaches.
Right.
So when they reach now, you see the Brazilian boys, when they reach 16, 17, 18, they go to these professional clubs. No one has to teach them how to kick the ball anymore.
No.
It's just focus on your conditioning, your tactics, your strategy. Yeah, but not how to hit the ball or pass it or control.
So Cayman Athletic, how many teams do you all have within Cayman Athletics? You have a senior team
right now.
Male. Yeah.
Right now, we only have a first division team.
Just a first division team.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that, like I said, that is sad because at one stage, Cayman Athletics had under 13, under 15.
I remember that.
And that's when I was working in the sports department, because we were getting the support from the ministry.
Right.
And to take care of these kids that was coming out of school in the afternoon. But then afterwards, what happened is, like I said,
that support is gone.
The funding started going to like academy. So academy, the parents start taking the kids over to the academy 3, 4, 5, because they're saying, oh, we got this coach from Holland, we got these coaches in here. They can help get your child into professional football. That's another thing. You got to be careful when you talk about getting into professional sports, because it's not easy to get into professional sports. Let's talk about education.
Yeah.
Getting a scholarship.
Yeah.
If you don't become a great professional football player, you can become a professional architect or a professional contractor or mechanic or something, some field, through football. I have a son who's an engineer because of football. He went on a football scholarship.
Yeah.
He's an electrical engineer by profession.
Nice.
And that's that's the area I think that we should be pushing to get more. And then from there, once you get that education, then if you want to go and try, for example, Gunnar is going on to play some professional football.
Student half.
But guess what? He's still finishing up that college.
You better
start first.
That's very important.
And you know why the professional clubs in England, those places in Europe, they don't sign on apprentices unless they have a high school diploma? You know the reason why?
No.
It's a requirement to have at least your GED.
Right.
Your first game, when you make your debut on a team and play your first game, you could get a life-threatening injury that you could never ever play football again, or basketball or anything.
Exactly.
So what are you going to have to fall back on? And what they're saying, at least a GED you should have to fall back on. Some of these kids just take their mind off of their studies just to play football. Tell
me a little bit more about Gunnar. How's he doing?
He's doing all right. Gunnar's doing all right.
Where is he now?
I think he's finishing up.
Okay.
I haven't spoken to him in a couple of months. I have his number and everything, but I think he's finishing up now his final year in college, and then I think he's going to go and play with some pro or professional team in the. It's a tier after the MLS. It's a second tier after the MLS, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's good.
How did you feel about last week's the death of Joto?
Oh God.
Diego.
Yeah, that's sad. Because things happen. That's life. Things happen, but for a player that was just in his prime.
I know, and he was an exciting player to watch as well.
That's me. Because I love to watch Liverpool play.
Yeah.
I tell you the truth, I don't have a favorite club team anymore.
Right.
I just love the team.
Since when? You said anymore. So since when?
I used to be a big Barcelona and Real Madrid fan.
Okay.
But I still love those teams because they play good football. I love Bayern Munich,
But as you get older, you get wiser, you realize, you just love the game.
Yeah, man, hype
it's
up.
more than just one club,
Yeah.
loving one club.
Look at Chelsea now. Yeah. I mean, they're a good team. They went down, and look where they are. They are now in the World Club finals.
Yeah.
It's not their first time, but Chelsea's a big club. Liverpool has a history. They all have history.
Definitely.
And they are structure.
That's it. Part of their history.
So I love all the
Yeah.
teams that playing good. Once they're playing good football, I don't care. I just admire if you're playing good.
Yeah.
And I know when the team is playing good from when they're not playing good. And but as a fan, I'm still a Brazil fan.
What's a loss like that going to do for Liverpool, though? Because he was a very good player.
They got some good. They got some good signings coming in. Yeah. Listen, they're professionals.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
they'll moan over it, but their life has to go on.
Yeah.
That's because that's the life.
Yeah, definitely. What kind of leadership or representation, Coach Gilly, would you like to see on the executive committee after the upcoming elections?
Well, like I say, I would like to see a collaboration between the executive and the clubs. Where they no one is left out.
Yeah.
What can I do to help you?
Yeah.
What can I do to help your club improve? Because once the standard of the each club improve, and we can develop more younger Cayman players. Also for our national team, that would also help us on a national scale. If you're getting proper coaching at your club, I even heard that there's some clubs here who tells their players don't go to the national team because they feel like they're not going to be trained well or something like that. I heard that. I'm not sure if it was real said, but I heard that. And that shouldn't be. Once a player is eligible to play for the country,
you should never discourage a player.
No, because that's something that all good footballers, good athletes aspire to represent your country.
But as a player too, especially at the senior level, which coach can tell me don't go represent?
No.
That's my goal.
I never ever told my players that, even when I wasn't on terms with the football association.
Yeah.
Because I had times, when Jeff was the president, I wasn't on terms with them. I still never told my players don't go. I even train if I have a player who was called to the national team, I would work with him individually so he could get better.
Yeah.
So when he go to the national team, and I would say to him,
prepared for that,
I know what the coach wants from you. If you're going to be a striker, I know what he wants. You want to be a defender?
And that's what it's about.
I know what he wants.
Yeah.
Also, again, if I help him to become better for the national team, that also makes my club look good, because they can say, this player from athletics, this player from academy, this player from, So it says volume for your club too. So we shouldn't be there, discouraging players from going to the national program.
Definitely not. Definitely. What improvements would you like to see, though, in how the committee supports clubs and coaches?
Well, like I say, I would like to see they have more meetings, but not just the annual general meeting, but like more quarterly meetings.
Right.
Have more quarterly meetings to discuss where we are, what we
I agree.
what we need to get better, and not just have to, because we have a lot of indiscipline among some of the players in the clubs too, right? A better relationship between the players and the referees. Yeah. Because that can be developed too,
So something that I'm not sure if football does this, but something that basketball does now, which is sort of helping. You still have your players that don't show up, but they have little meetings where the referees teach and, to show them and help them learn what's developed in refereeing. Because refereeing is not stagnant. Every year something develops. Every year something changes. And it'll be very unfair to keep that knowledge for themselves, and then you're blowing calls and everybody will be like, this is suspect. What's going on? Yeah. So they have these meetings where the coaches and the players are invited to come out and hear what these changes are, and this is what they're going to be implemented next season.
Yeah, it was put in place.
Something like
it
that?
was put in place for that to happen with the referees, but the thing is, it hasn't been enforced.
Okay.
It needs to be enforced.
Who's head of officials now?
I think it's Derek Williams, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Him and I think Mr. Bale is still there working with him also.
Yeah.
And then you got a guy that works with the football association named Ben. Ben, he's a referee too. He's also now, I think, a CFU referee and thing too.
Okay.
So they have to. But like I say, and also again, how do we encourage some of the players who might give up playing to also referee?
Yeah.
A lot of them is afraid to do it because they don't want to be criticized. Because they don't
have to have some thick skin.
Yeah, so they want to be the critic, but they don't want nobody to criticize them. But a lot of times I see where the players have argument with the referees and the coaches is because they don't understand the laws.
Right. That's okay. And Definitely. I totally agree. They don't understand.
And like I say, it needs to be enforced because you just don't want to have the referees out there just penalizing the players. If you keep penalizing me,
and you don't know why.
If my mom keep on penalizing me and not giving me no chance to I mean, I'll get angry with her too.
Mm-hmm.
And that happens with a lot of children with their parents. You just penalizing me, but doing anything to teach me to make me better.
Right.
You just every time I make a mistake, you're punishing me, but you're not teaching me what the mistake I'm making and how can I go about correcting that.
Right.
And that's what needs to happen in the refereeing sphere.
Okay. All right, so it's 10 minutes to go, and we have the standing committees from a coach's experience. Are you aware of the different standing committees within CIFA, and how do they function?
Well, the Constitution tells you about all the standing committees and who should be on them, what members of the executive board, what members of the executive should be on each one of those, and who should be on those standing committees.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sadly, I'm saying this, and this has nothing to do with the CIFA executive. I'm going to defend the CIFA executive tonight. The clubs are not interested. The clubs need to be more interested in the standing, like I say, especially the sports medicine committee. That's that one you heard me talk about that more than anything else. Because over the years, I've witnessed so many players get injured. People stop playing, broken foots. I mean, we just had a player from Borden Down got his leg broken. Dave McLaughlin just got his leg broken. We see the Bayern Munich player in the World Cup just got his leg broken. How do you help these people
recover?
Back? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
So it's and like I say, it's a lot of. Right now, I have about maybe 5 or 6 or 7 players on my team that have some injury, a hamstring pull, a knee injury, a ankle injury, some.
So is there a physiotherapist that you all have on hand?
Well, we don't have one on hand, but,
okay.
Because the thing is that here again, 1-2 clubs may have a volunteer physiotherapist,
right.
But the sports medicine committee could take care of that because if they reach out to we got so many medical places on the island now. Everywhere you got some hospital here, there, everywhere. And these people love to practice because doctors and things call it self-practice. So I think if the sports medicine committee was functioning, they could reach out to these hospitals about getting people to assist the clubs.
And I've actually been in contact with a doctor that says that he was also a physiotherapist, and he said, I am willing to do that, give up my time for free for any sport that wants to do that.
Yeah.
So I can give you a number and a name after.
But like I said, it helps. It helps. But like I said, the sports medicine committee should be taking care of all of that to make sure that all of the clubs are covered when they're playing. Because it don't have to be one person to one team. Like I say, not every team is playing at the same time.
Right. We got to take another break, but when we get back, we'll continue more with the sports medicine. That's your favorite topic, so we'll stay on that for a while. We'll be right back with more Sports Extra in a minute.
Shipping to the Cayman Islands is fast, reliable, and seamless thanks to Cayman Airways Cargo. Need it faster than ocean freight? Cayman Airways Cargo offers multiple cargo flights to Grand Cayman from Miami weekly, so your packages, whether big, small, or in between, will arrive in no time. You can even use a Cayman Airways Cargo US address for your online shopping. Cayman Airways Cargo is also the only carrier providing air freight services for Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Contact us today and see why Cayman Airways Cargo was voted as Cayman's best cargo and logistics company in the Best of Cayman Awards. For details, visit CaymanAirways.com/cargo.
Social media, X, formerly Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Interact with our talk shows on YouTube. Download our official Radio Cayman app, or you can log on to our website, www.radiocayman.gov.ky. You can also add us to WhatsApp
on 925-3261.
All the latest information, breaking news, community events, and more. Radio Cayman. Information, entertainment, inspiration.
Covering Grand Cayman, Little Cayman, Cayman Brac.
Since 1976 till now.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
All right. Welcome back to Radio Cayman Sports Extra. Coach Ernie Gillies Seymour, and we're talking about the standing committees in amongst the Cayman Islands Football Association. So I'm reading here, and the standing committees shall be players' status, sports medicine, like we were discussing previously, competition and tournament, technical and development, women's football, youth, referees, finance, selection, and public relations. So out of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, how many are effective?
Maybe about 3 or 4.
3 or 4. Do you know which 3 or 4?
I know the player status committee, competition and tournament, because we have the competition going on.
Right, the youth.
Women's football, youth, referees.
That's 5.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the rest.
Yeah. Okay. And you're saying sports medicine is not necessarily the most important, but it is one of the most crucial ones that we should have on play, because so many athletes are getting injured in many different ways, and there's no support, no help. Yeah, most definitely. I agree. Is there anything else from there you would like to point out?
No, I just wanted you to read out the Sports Medicine Committee and who should be on it.
Okay. All right. The Sports Medicine Committee shall consist of a chairman, a deputy chairman, and the number of members that may be deemed necessary by the executive committee. So doctors of medicines, physiotherapists, and trainers should be included among the members of this committee. So the duties of the Sports Medicine Committee shall be to act as an advisory board of, for CIFA Executive Committee on every aspect of medicine, physiology, and hygiene, right? To organize seminars, workshops for all groups involved in the sport, to develop and use scientific experience in the field of physiology, medical control, training theories, psychological, and hygiene. Right, to draw up a guide for footballers to improve their athletic ability, physical fitness, and performance capacity. To draw up a medical guide for use by coaches, players, and referees, and the list goes on. It's about 10 more. Yeah, How do we get there, Coach?
Well, the thing, how we get there is that at the Congress,
yes,
they need to discuss it. They need to talk about it. They need to they and I'm not talking about the executive. I'm talking about the club members.
Right.
Need to see how important this is to them, to the development of the player. The player is the product.
Yeah.
And if you're not taking care of the product, if you're not presenting good product out there, no one is going to buy it.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely.
So
it's like if in the horse racing industry. If you got a horse that is lame, he can't run in the Kentucky Derby. No one is going to buy. No one is going to spend millions of dollars on him.
Yeah.
No one is going to bet on that horse.
Right.
You know what they do with them horses when they get like that? They shoot them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sad to know, but it does. It happens.
Yeah.
So, if players get injured and serious, and I know players who have injuries who have never recovered from them all through their whole life because they never get proper treatment.
Or players that have been playing for over 10 years and they've been in pain every day.
Every day.
Yeah, they just play with it.
Yeah.
Play through it. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, I'm hoping that that's something that they bring on board. Sports medicine. Yeah. 1 minute before we close out. Is there anything else you'd like to touch on before we go? Anything that I may not have mentioned? Well,
I think we did well. We covered
we did.
Some very
we actually did cover a lot.
Areas. Like I said, I would just like to see the clubs get their act together.
Yeah.
Stop blaming the executive for everything that is going wrong in football,
right,
and step up to the plate and do what they're supposed to do. Too many times you sit there in the Congress and you hear people addressing the executive as CIFA. I want to say that again clearly. CIFA is everybody. The clubs, the executive,
the
referees, the players, everybody.
Yeah.
The
executive.
And I even hear some coaches going on talking, CIFA not doing anything. CIFA not doing this. CIFA not doing that. You're talking about yourself.
Yeah. So
what are you doing?
What they really exactly?
You talking about what they're not doing, but what are you doing?
Exactly.
Like I say,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying. Like I said, me and my son is trying everything now to try to see if we can get Cayman Athletic up to be the standard club that it's supposed to be. We sent out a thing on our AGM. We asked the members to invite people, so we can have personnel on board. We need an executive committee in the club too. A president, vice president, general secretary, treasurer. We need that in the club. Same thing as this FIFA executive. The clubs also need that.
How many
too.
clubs do we have in CIFA?
I think it's about 17 to 18.
17. And how many of them are functioning as a club?
Well, I can tell you right now, I own a few.
Okay.
Because even though some of them not even functioning, some of them don't even have a team.
Right. Okay.
So if you're a club and you don't have a team.
Yeah.
So something is wrong there.
Definitely. All right.
So and then people need to understand, how much members it makes up a club. It's a required amount of people to make up a club. You should have at least 20 registered members with your club. And I think that would include your executive, your technical director, people, and then your playing members.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Coach, for stopping by.
You're
I
welcome.
appreciate you. Hopefully, we helped someone out there that was unsure about what's taking place with CIFA. We shared enough knowledge, imparted enough knowledge to them so that they understand, what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I said, a lot of it is about education.
Yeah.
Sometimes people just don't know. They just sometimes we say dumb to the facts.
Yeah. Well, that's it. That's it for tonight's edition of Sports Extra. Of course, if you would like the opportunity to be a part of our show, please feel free to email me at sportsextracayman@gmail.com. You can also check out our Radio Cayman Sports Extra social media pages to keep abreast of all things happening, all sporting activities happening here on Island. Or you can check out our YouTube channel, or Radio Cayman's YouTube channel for tonight's edition of Sports Extra. Thank you so much for joining us, Coach. Thank you so much for stopping by. Always love when you stop by. And yes, our Facebook and our Instagram pages. So don't forget that. And that's it. That's it for tonight. Are we still on? Is something you're going to say?
No.
Oh, no. Okay. All right. I'm Dionne Anglin. Good night.
This is off the record.
And God bless.
Sports Extra. From 7 to 8 p.m., highlights of local sports around the Cayman Islands. Sports Extra.
It's amazing to see the improvement of the team.
Sports Extra, keeping you informed.